I was sort of sad to learn that this evening that the Presbyterian family camp in Saugatuck, Michigan is gone. It started in 1899. I visited there in 67, 74, 75, and then in 2001 I was in the area, so I popped in to see if it was still there, and I was shocked to find that the original structures were still present. The cabins that I had stayed in 67 and 74 were still there. Can't remember which cabin I stayed in 75. I was there for a week on my own, and then my parents came, and I think we stayed in one of the newer cabins, which was the second row of cabins back from the beach. But anyhow, this used to be the dining hall, and then there was an arts and crafts building here and a bit of a ravine with a bridge over it, and the original row of cabins was along here. I'd say there were probably about 10 of them, and I stayed in the first and second cabins. First cabin in 67 and second cabin in 74, if I recall correctly. And I think I was in one of the second row cabins in 75. But anyhow, I noticed that, so here is where the dining hall was, over here. And the cabins, there was a boardwalk along here, and the cabins were situated along here, about this far back. And the the shoreline is, the water level is probably 20 feet lower vertically than the elevation of the boardwalk. And this is a very wide beach here. When I was there in 1967 and 74, the beach was nice and wide like this. There wasn't quite as much vegetation, and it was very nice. But in 75, the beach much of it had washed away, and instead of being out to here, I would estimate that it ended about here. You would just walk down, vertically down, and you were right at the water. You didn't have to walk out across sand or a vegetated area. And so when I saw this house here, I was shocked at how close it is to the unfavorable condition, the 1975 condition. And I was kind of curious about how accurate my memories were. They're usually pretty accurate, by the way. And I looked at historical aerials. The years of aerial photos don't line up with visits there, but there are a couple interesting data points. This is 1955, and you can see that the edge of my little post-it note. So here's the dining hall, and here's the row of cabins. The edge of my post-it note is more or less on the at the water line. Maybe it's a little too far to the right, but not by much. And then in 1980, the shoreline is moved in substantially from the 1955 location. But then watch what happens after that. 81, well, 81's the worst year. Look at that. Very little beach there. And so then watch what happens. 97, about the same, but then it starts going out. 2005, 2009, 2010, 2012, 2014, and shoot, when was it sold? I just had an article up about that. I think it was about 2014 that it was sold. So anyhow, so these poor stupid fuckers that built their houses here are probably under the impression that the beach is always going to be this wide, but that is not a safe bet. Stop meowing. God willing, the waves will move in, wipe out these houses, and then recede, and wind will rebuild the dunes. That's what I'm hoping for. It's absolutely shameful that this camp wasn't purchased by state parks or somebody or something, some entity that would preserve the forest and the integrity of it. Oh, this lighting is terrible. Alright, whatever. That's all I got to say about that.